So we're currently standing in what has been the most stressful endeavor of my entire life. And I've been through a lot of stressful situations, but this has by far been the worst. It'll be the most worth it when I'm done because I'll have a brand new house to live in, and that'll be great. I've never lived in a brand new house, so I'm really looking forward to it. We still got a couple months to go, so I'm just hoping that we can wrap up the rest of it without something else majorly going wrong. And hopefully I've got some kind of money in the bank when we're done. Hopefully I'm not totally broke. But anyways, today, what I really wanted to talk about was just a couple big things that I did when I was younger, my younger adult years, and what sort of set me up for a decent amount of success as I'm coming into my 30s now. I just turned 30 in October. So I figure, if I can help out some of the younger generation, the younger men out there who are maybe looking for some guidance, they don't know if college is the right thing for them to do, they don't know if going to the trades is the right thing for them to do. I'm just gonna talk about a couple different points that I think I did well growing up. I didn't come from money. I grew up not necessarily like super poor, but definitely didn't have a lot of money. Just regular, middle class family. And so I focused really hard in my younger years to try and set myself up for the most success as I got older, to make sure that, I can live a comfortable life the best I can. And I knew right away that college wasn't going to be for me because I struggled really badly in regular school. And so I just knew that wasn't something that I wanted to do. And I'm a really hands-on person. I like to, just college just wasn't for me. So, and I think that a lot of people feel that way, especially as ADHD gets worse and worse in the upcoming generations. I struggle with that really badly myself. So I just want to talk about a couple points of some things I did growing up that maybe will help some people. So let's hop in the car because it's like 110 degrees outside today here in Arizona, and we'll continue on. Probably a lot of wind noise, but there's the exterior for now. Man, if I have any fellow Arizonans watching this video, how are you guys surviving this heat lately? I feel like we got hit like a ton of bricks out of nowhere this year. Maybe it's been like that every year, but it feels especially bad this year. I felt like the weather was doing pretty well, and then we just randomly, boom, 110. But anyways, back to the point. I feel like the biggest thing that helped me as I was growing up and as I was trying to work really hard and just trying to do the best that I can to make sure I live a somewhat comfortable life. It's kind of a gross generalization, but I feel like the biggest thing you just have to focus on is living below your means and trying to save up money as much as you can and as often as you can, and just try to be. People make fun of me for it, but I've always been very frugal, and I think a lot of that's because I didn't come from money as a kid. And so when I started making decent money as a young adult, I just wanted to save every dollar of it that I could. And so I lived well below my means, and I still had fun, and I've still had a great life, but I lived well below my means. And just think about the couple of your biggest bills, right? Obviously the biggest one we're all going to face, especially in today's world, is our rent or our mortgage. And so that was the biggest thing that I focused on when I was younger, is how do I reduce this expense as much as possible so I can save as much as possible and also go have as much fun as possible without being broke. So that's what I focused on. And the easiest way that I found to do that was roommates. And I feel like a lot of people think that they're above having roommates, or they just really don't want roommates, which I totally understand. It's never ideal, right? Having to share your living space with somebody else. But that's what I did. I had an apartment with two other people in a 3-bedroom apartment, and we can all agree it's never that fun, right? But try and live with the best people you can find that aren't total messes or slobs or noisy, like to party. Try and live with people who have the similar lifestyle that you have, and just manage it the best you can, and just focus on saving as much money as possible. And of course still go have fun, still live your life, because what's the point of saving money and saving money and being financially responsible if you're just going to hate your life because you're just at home all day, right? So still go have fun, but just make sure you're saving enough money to still have fun and save money for the future. Because renting an apartment for the rest of my life or renting a house from somebody else, I just never wanted to do that. I wanted to try and really build some generational wealth and really set myself up for success and a decent retirement. So either way, for me, and obviously this was at a different time, you're probably not gonna be able to do this nowadays with the way inflation has hit everybody, but during these years, I never had more than like a $400 a month rent bill because I was sharing the rent between two other people most of those years. And even when I did buy my first house, my very first house, I think I was 21 when I bought my first house in the Midwest, I brought in two more roommates. So, my mortgage was $1,200 divided by the three of us. And I was still living well below my means. And again, having roommates wasn't the greatest, especially in your own house. But that was just a sacrifice that I was willing to make sure that I was, financially comfortable and taking care of myself in the future. Like I said, it's kind of a gross overgeneralization, but just live well below your means, as best you can. So think about your base expenses and how you can reduce them, even if it means you're sacrificing a little bit of, comfort by having roommates or not having a brand new car. Look at your biggest expenses and how can I reduce them. So for most people, that's going to be your rent or your mortgage. Obviously, a mortgage is going to be a lot harder to reduce, right? Because you have to sell your house, so that's probably not possible. But this is more for younger people, so it's likely going to be your rent. You're going to have an apartment or renting a house, whatever the case may be. But look at your biggest expenses. How can I reduce them? Do I get a roommate? Do I maybe not live in like the super nice area of town? Do I not need to have a brand new car? Can I get by with something a little less expensive? If you're not making a lot of money, there's no reason you should have, a $500, $600, $700, $800 car payment. I mean, like I said, unless you're very comfortable when you're making a lot of money, which in that case, this advice probably isn't for you because you're doing better than I ever did. When I was growing up, I never really had a car payment that was that large, and that was again another thing that helped me. And that's really it. If I can give advice to anybody, is just work your hardest, do the best you can at your job. My very first job right out of high school was working for Discount Tire, and I saw an opportunity there to grow my career, so I worked as hard as I humanly could because I wanted to grow with the company and I saw a future with the company. And they reward that, and they promote from within. So I worked as hard as I possibly could, and it paid off. It took me 6 years, to finally start making some really good money with them. And a lot of hard work where it mostly didn't make sense. I was working way too hard for the amount of money I was getting paid, but I knew one day it would pay off, and it did, luckily. So, those are the two biggest things. Find a job that you see yourself there for a long time with a decent future, that has room to grow within, and outwork every single person in that building. It doesn't matter who they are, how long they've been there. Outwork every person in that building, even the store manager, especially the store manager. And live well below your means, even if it means taking a sacrifice and having roommates, not having a brand new car, not eating out every single day, because I promise you it will pay off. Your future self will thank you. I thank my past self almost every day for working my ass off for so many years, because it's finally, and I'm just turned 30, and it's finally just now starting to really come into fruition with this house, being able to build a house for me and my fiance, and not have to pay somebody else's mortgage. I have an acre that I can grow into for the next 10, 15, 20 years, forever, really. We'll probably never have to move from this house. I don't have neighbors breathing down my throat, but it has single-handedly been the hardest thing I've ever done. And the only reason I even have the blessing to have the opportunity to do this is because I've worked very hard, throughout my younger years, sacrificed my body, my sanity, relationships. So, I'm rambling a little bit, but this is my first vlog, so hope you guys can join me for some more in the future. They're always going to be pretty much relaxed and chill, and just me talking to the camera, and just trying to make connections with people. And you know, a big goal of mine is to be able to help the younger generation, especially the younger generation of men. Not that women aren't important, but you know, I have experience as a man growing up, and so I'd love to be able to help the younger generation, you know, work to get ahead and have a good life for themselves, especially if they don't want to go to college, or if they don't want to go, you know, more of a traditional route in their life. You know, those are the people I want to help. But anyways, we'll see you in the next one.